Hi, I'm Maggie.
Hi, I'm Mark, and this is...
Spatial Report. Welcome to the Esri Canada podcast that connects our user community with the latest and coolest trends in the world of ArcGIS. On today's show,
we'll learn about how data-driven analysis and mapping technology can help address Canada's housing crisis.
Plus, our GeoGeek is here to give us a sneak peek at some of the newest features and enhancements in the latest release of ArcGIS Pro.
And as always, we put on our game faces for another battle of M versus M.
It's the season to put a spring in our step and a spring in our maps, so let's rock. Hey Mark, how's it going?
It is going swell, Maggie Sampson. How are you out in Hamilton?
I'm doing great. I am not loving this springtime weather though. It's cold and it's dreary, and I'm watching a lot of TV.
Oh my goodness, it is beautiful and sunny here in the lower mainland, so... Suck it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty nice and rare, so I guess I'll let you have that for now. But nice. I have to say, I've been watching a lot of stuff, and I'm seeing a lot of ads for this new show, Law and Order in Toronto. Have you heard about this?
I've heard about it because if you've seen any kind of sporting event on like Hockey Night in Canada or whatever, that's all they talk about in between the period. But I have not actually seen it. Is that bad?
No, I haven't seen it yet either, but I'm really honestly excited about it. I love when shows take place in Toronto because they just feel like almost a little hokey. No offense, Law & Order. Haven't seen it yet. But I have seen the one and only season of Real Housewives of Toronto, and I don't know if it was the best show on TV.
What the housewives were like talking about poutine or I don't know.
No, it's just fun to see the sights of Toronto. You had a Housewives of your own in Vancouver. Did you ever watch that?
I did not watch The Real Housewives of Vancouver. I guess they'll be stuck in traffic or something on a bridge. It's not too exciting television, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why it didn't last. But I love the Canadian shows. If you could open another Law and Order, where do you think the next season should be?
Oh man, I think there should be like a Law and Order Banff.
And then fancy.
Wouldn't that be great? It'd be a beautiful setting. You got the mountains, you got some moose, you got some bears, and then you just have housewives bickering about, I don't know, what to get at Beaver Tails.
Oh, that's not Law and Order, that's Housewives. But I agree, because I feel like there's not going to be any crime happening.
There could be some parking tickets or something. You know?
Yeah, stealing lift tickets for those expensive ski hills, maybe. But, well, speaking of Banff, it's making me think that I'm going that direction this year. I got lucky enough to go not quite a little bit farther over than Banff, but anything sort of to the west of me feels like it's exotic. And this year, I'm lucky enough that I'm going to be able to go to the Esri UC.
What?
And, yeah, I know. It's so exciting. I've never been. I can't wait. I'm pretty mappy about it because I love to see everything that's going on and meet some of our customers face to face. One of the things that's really getting me excited is the map gallery. I love the map gallery. I get to see it online, but it's exciting to be there for the event and see all the maps. And I was taking a look at some of the ones from last year, and I have to say there's some pretty beautiful work. And as someone who's absolutely terrible at cartography, I'm very impressed.
First of all, I am so jealous. I guess my invitation got lost in the mail. So
you've been before. It's my turn to go.
It's your turn to go. And you're absolutely right about the map gallery. Like, it is one of the highlights of going to San Diego. The room that they have the maps in is huge. It's humongous, and you can roam around for hours. And right after the plenary, they have like a party up there, a reception. There's all this great food, and you get to look at maps, and you get to mingle with people. It really is an awesome event.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I highly recommend you take a look at last year's submissions. I saw some really exciting ones. Some of my favorites, one of them was about hockey, which it's still hockey on the mind here. So NHL, what a really cool one by Helsel and Levine. They did an impact on travel and rest on NHL teams, which was really exciting. And take a look at that. It came third place in analytics and methods. And then I saw a really nice one as well about geospatial account of sea sparkle in the Arabian Sea, which took first place in communicating science, and that was done by the National Institute of Oceanography in Pakistan. Some really cool stuff, and if you want to submit a map for this coming year, you still have time. It's open until June 6th. Cartographers out there who might be listening, go ahead and submit those. They're pretty exciting.
That is very exciting, and can't wait for everyone who's going down to San Diego to look for Maggie, all right?
Yes.
Hunt her down, and then just ask her why Mark isn't here, all right? That's what you got to do.
Yeah. But what about you, Mark? I know you're not happy about San Diego, but what's making you mappy this month?
Well, maps always makes me happy, and something that I just discovered recently, even though it's been around for about a year, is something called Storyscape. I don't know if you've checked this out or not, Maggie. It is a
Hmm.
monthly magazine that's being created by the Story Maps team at Esri Inc. So you can find it through the Story Maps website. And each month they do a new issue around a unique theme. And it highlights a number of different stories and blogs and tutorials around that theme. And they also highlight one of our users who's using our technology around that theme. So, like in a recent issue, they talked about dark skies. I guess that's in conjunction with the eclipse, the solar eclipse that happened in April. And of course, Becky, you had a really good view of that, right?
I should have had a good view from Hamilton, but I actually went to Mexico and missed it. So maybe next time. Oh well.
How dare the sun do that to you? It's so
I
rude.
know. Come on. What such bad timing.
Indeed. But there's a number of great stories about the solar eclipse and mapping the eclipse path and all that kind of stuff. So there's a number of really interesting stories related to that. And they also have a profile of a physical scientist who works for the National Park Service in the States and talking about her work with dark skies. And it kind of reminded me of when I went to Bryce Canyon a few years ago to see the dark skies. It is absolutely incredible. If you ever get a chance to see stars like that, is really incredible. So to check out Storyscape, it is a wonderful way for us to be able to highlight the power of geography based storytelling, and it's available every month with a new issue. So check out that through the Story Maps website.
Wow, sounds pretty cool. I definitely haven't heard of that, but I'll have to check it out. Thanks for sharing, Mark.
Got it.
Coming up next, let's go inside the ARC to introduce to you a comprehensive platform for planning and housing intelligence. Housing availability and affordability is top of mind for many Canadians. In the recent federal budget, the government outlined their strategy to unlock 3.87 million in new homes by 2031. These accelerated goals present many challenges and opportunities for municipalities, developers, and city planners.
To help us understand how mapping technology can help these stakeholders make informed housing and planning decisions, we are joined by Aaron Morrow. He is the co founder of the Ratio City platform and is now the director of products for Ratio City, a division of Esri Canada. Aaron, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Maggie. It's nice to be here.
Oh, no, it's our honor to have you here because there's a lot going on in terms of housing and Ratio City and all the things that you're working on. But just to begin, we're really curious about sort of the backstory behind Ratio City. So you are one of the co-founders of the platform, and we're really interested in sort of the genesis of how you developed this and how you got to where we are today in a partnership with Esri Canada.
So my co-founder and I, Monica, we've known each other for quite a long time. We met in university years ago, and we've kept in touch over the years. We sort of had slightly divergent paths. We met in architecture school. Monica actually went on to become an architect. I went to work for an engineering firm, doing a whole range of things. The thing that we both had come to realize in our respective careers was that availability of data was a real problem across the industry. You know, in my experience when I was doing consulting work, 50-60% of time would be spent just gathering data or coming up with assumptions that were acceptable to everyone, because often the data didn't really exist for what you were trying to do. And so we thought that there was a real opportunity to try and come up with a solution for this, try and provide the data that people in the urban planning space needed to make better decisions about all kinds of things, whether it's housing or transportation or anything else. There was clearly an opportunity in the marketplace, and we started Ratio City with the goal of meeting that opportunity.
Yeah, it's very exciting to have you here, now part of the Esri Canada family. So, welcome. Thank you for sharing your technology with us. Because it's so new to us and it's probably new to a lot of our listeners as well, we really just want to know from you, what is your sort of elevator pitch of Ratio City? If you're explaining it to us noobs, what is it that your tool can do and people can use it for?
So I think there's sort of three things that I would touch on here. One is we've already done the work of gathering the data. So if we're in a city where you are, that the data that you need to make your decisions already exists on the platform. And we help support decisions in two ways. The first is helping people find sites that are appropriate for housing development. So, does it have the right zoning? Is it close enough to transit? What are the public amenities around it, parks, all that kind of stuff. All that data is there, and we have a quite powerful search capability that allows you to go through and find parcels of land that meet your criteria for whatever your development thesis happens to be. The second thing that we do is we, again, leverage all of this data to figure out what the constraints are on the site, and we provide 3D modeling tools which allow developers to understand what the highest and best use of a piece of land is. So given the zoning, given the setback requirements and other neighborhood conditions, how much can you build? How many units can you put on a site? Can you go 30 meters? Can you go 60 meters? Does it cast shadows on the park at 60? Well, maybe you need to back it off to 50. So these are the primary areas that we provide really rapid assessment of developability to our users.
It's really interesting, yeah. And when Maggie and we had a test spin of Ratio City a few weeks ago, and it is really incredible how much data is available and how interactive it is to be able to visualize, streetscapes and be able to identify those locations. So it is really cool technology. We really love it. Something that really I noticed when I was using the software for the first time was how similar it was to ArcGIS Urban, but there's also some very key differences as well. So maybe you can highlight what distinguishes Ratio City from some of the other GIS solutions that are out there.
I think we get this a lot. And, the reality is if you're dealing with buildings in an urban space in a sort of 3D map context, there are, of course, going to be some visual similarities between the offerings. I think that there's a couple things that differentiate the two products. One is that ArcGIS Urban is more geared towards sort of neighborhood and sort of whole town planning. So being able to do district level assessments of things. Well, what if we change the mix of commercial and residential, and do we go higher and lower here? And how does that development get distributed across a broader area of land? The other thing I would say is that, well, Urban is an amazing product. It also is very much up to the user of Urban to bring the data that they need to do the analysis that they want to do on that platform. And so Ratio City brings the data, but also we're very focused on the specific sites, not the districts. We're kind of almost like a pinpoint solution with a lot of data to help you assess that one particular location. We're not about neighborhoods or districts particularly, which Urban is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like it's a great complement for different types of work. And I think one of the things about Ratio City that's really exciting is, you don't necessarily have to have a lot of GIS knowledge. You could come from more of a planning background and still be able to get the same sort of insights, which is really exciting. I know for a lot of people who maybe don't want to get into the whatever Urban's doing and stick to those locations with all that data. And it seems like data kind of is the heart and soul of Ratio City. It's obviously a big part of why you started it. And it's one of the best features, I'd say, from what I've seen. There's so much data and it's such a great wealth of knowledge. So just wondering a little bit more about that data. How is it that you can sort of ensure accuracy and reliability in the platform? Maybe give us a little bit more of an idea of like what that data looks like and how reliable it could be.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Data is in some respects, it is the key value that we provide to people. And the reality is that we try as hard as we can to automate as much as we possibly can, but we still actually just put a lot of effort into keeping our data up to date. When we go into a new location, we connect to open data portals, we pull the information. Again, we automate where we can, but in a lot of cases, planning data is not particularly well digitized to begin with, and we actually invest a fair bit of staff time in making sure that the data is digitized and is available for our analysis tools to consume. And then the other thing that we do is we conduct quarterly audits on all of our data, so we stay up to date. Most of it is system of record data coming directly out of various levels of government, but it does change. Some of it changes quickly, some of it does not. But we check regularly, and when it needs to be updated, we update it. So yeah, we take the reliability of data very seriously, and I think our customers really appreciate that. They not only is it all in one place, they they can be comfortable and confident that the data that they find on Ratio City is up to date and is reliable. Just one other thing I would like to mention is that it's not just about collecting all the data; it's also about organizing it in a coherent way. And so we've done a lot of work. In particular, our director of technology, Siva, has done a lot of work coming up with a system that organizes data such that things which seem the same, like transit systems or whatever, can be described the same way regardless of geography. So it doesn't matter if you call it a subway or you call it an underground or whatever, that it is underground heavy rail. And our system sort of understands the fundamental concepts of the systems that make up the urban environment. And when we bring the data in, those concepts get attached to the data so that our tools can work regardless of what location and regardless of what labels you're putting on the data.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's, we have SkyTrains in Vancouver. We've got subways in Toronto. Exactly. So to have that common terminology, it's really important. So,
yeah, and it's
thanks
even
for pointing that out.
When you get into policy and zoning and all that stuff. So transit's actually an easy example. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of new ones out there for sure. But do you work with a number of different organizations that take advantage of Ratio City? So maybe if you could provide us some real world example or case study of how organizations have utilized Ratio City.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. One from the private sector and one from the public sector. The first one, and we've right from almost day one, this was a use case that we found some traction on. Is if you're a housing developer, a private housing developer, and you're in the business of finding sites, acquiring them, getting them entitled to build whatever you want to build on them, you're in a fairly high risk game, and opportunities come across their desks all the time. Brokers call them and like, oh, I've got this property. It's worth, they want to sell it for however many millions of dollars. What our private sector customers will do is they'll look at the site on Ratio City and they'll be like, that's ridiculous. We'll never be able to build enough building on that site to pay that amount of money. Or, oh, actually, there's one down the street, which is not too dissimilar. So yeah, let's talk. So, just as a way of really quickly filtering what constitutes a good opportunity and a bad opportunity, Ratio City's been used for that since day one. The other one that we see that we think is really interesting is when we have public sector organizations that manage property portfolios for cities or transit agencies or whatever. They often have surplus land, or they're encouraged by their parent government to make land available for housing development, and so they will actually upload their portfolio of land to Ratio City and then use all the data on our platform to figure out what the best opportunities are for them to divest and provide opportunities for housing development. Those are two that I think are really interesting and have, clearly providing some value and speed to the overall process.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to hear about how people are using it because, Mark and I are pretty far outside of the development world, but it's obviously there's a lot of different ways that it can be used, and it's a very valuable tool. So thanks so much for sharing it with us today. Before we let you go, we always ask our guests if they could just tell us, not everyone always remembers everything we say, but if there's 3 things that people should remember or keep in mind when they're thinking about Ratio City, what are the 3 takeaways that you want to make sure that people take home with them today?
Yeah, so I think the first, and you alluded to this earlier, Maggie, is that we kind of hide the GIS. We give you all the power of GIS, but we're very focused on providing people who are looking to develop housing. We give them the tools that they need to make their business decisions faster. They don't need to worry about spatial joins or anything else. It's the interface takes care of that for them. The second thing I would say is that, if you're in a city where Ratio City is, the data is already there and ready for you to use. And the third thing I would say is that we're adding cities all the time. And if anybody's interested in learning more or, making a request to have Ratio City where they are, we'd love to hear from them.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today, Aaron. It's been great to talk to you and get to know more about Ratio City. That was Aaron Morrow today. He's the Director of Products for Ratio City, a division of Esri Canada, and he joined us today from Toronto.
And after this short break, it's time to learn more about the latest update of ArcGIS Pro with our GeoGeek.
From navigating everyday obstacles to tackling the most pressing issues facing our world today, tune in to Geographical Thinking to discover how geospatial solutions can help solve problems and drive positive change. My name is Michelle Brake, and I'll be your guide as we explore stories, ideas, and conversations through the lens of geography. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
It's now time for the GeoGeeks, our regular segment where we bring in a subject matter expert to tell us what's new and noteworthy in one of our ArcGIS products.
Which means it's the return of Allison O'Brien. She is an ArcGIS support consultant and our resident ArcGIS Pro GeoGeek. Welcome, Allison. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you back, and I know that there's some big ArcGIS Pro news. So I'm excited to hear what you have to tell us about the latest version that's coming out. So thanks for getting us hyped up on that.
Yeah, so ArcGIS Pro 3.3 is out this month, and there's a lot of really great features that we've been playing with in beta to prepare for the release.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's some pretty cool stuff. I know one of the main features that's been talked about for a while now, it's been teased at a couple different sessions until this release, are presentations in ArcGIS Pro. Have you had a chance to take a look at those, and can you tell us a little bit about what to expect?
Yeah, so presentations are really cool. So it's similar to PowerPoint slides, but with the ability to interact with maps. So basically, you can use maps, scenes, videos, and text to interactively present a GIS story. So this is a new document type that's stored inside of the Pro project. You have the ability to interactively present in full screen mode, and then your presentations can be shared as PDFs, images, or videos. So we really like this functionality because you can summarize information for, let's say, regular status meetings. You can compare scenarios to facilitate decision making, and you can easily present to non-GIS users. So you can tell any GIS story. I'll provide a couple use scenarios. So you can present analytical results to stakeholders. You can show a proposed urban development. So let's say you're a developer proposing a new condo development to a city. So you can use maps and scenes through the presentation to show how the building would interact with the surrounding area, from skyline changes to traffic impacts. With presentations, you can describe events with a stronger geographical component. And then after, you can export the presentations as a video for wider viewing.
Wow, that is so cool. And I know Maggie and I were really excited about presentations since we do a lot of presentations in our job. So we'll be definitely leveraging this new function in 3.3. So that's going to be very, very cool. Now, another thing that I saw, something that's very highly anticipated, is this flood simulator. So can you give us a little more detail about what this is and how it can be used?
Yeah, so this is a very exciting new feature. So the flood simulator allows you to predict and plan for potential flooding events. It has a fast and interactive flood simulation and playback. So basically, you set up an area of interest, and then you configure things like the amount of rainfall. Then you can add additional variables like infiltration rates across that area of interest. You can compare quickly, like a what if scenario, to better understand what buildings or areas may be most affected in different rainfall scenarios. So you can even add in mitigation efforts like sandbag barriers to test how water would flow around them. So from these simulations, you can create videos and reports, and then analysis results to share with members from your team. So this is great for emergency response. And then lastly, what I wanted to add to this is that you don't need your own DEM to run this. So it uses the Esri 3D base maps for the surface. So anyone with an advanced license can use these tools.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Flood Simulator. I took a little sneak peek at it, and it's really great that, if you just open up ArcGIS Pro, you can select an area, and you can simulate what a flood might look like or just any major rainfall event in an area without any extra data, which is fantastic because sometimes it's hard to find that stuff for your area. So I'm really excited about that one. Thanks for sharing. So we covered two of the bigger features that are coming with 3.3, but could you give us a little insight into maybe if there's some like smaller enhancements or features that you think deserve a little bit of love in this release as well?
Yeah, so one of the new geoprocessing tools is export attachments. So now you can easily access and extract the attachments from features. So these could be local features or hosted features. Previously, this was possible with some coding, but now it's really nice we have an out of the box tool to complete this. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was that you can add a PDF directly to your map as a raster layer. There's no need to duplicate the data and store it as a TIFF. You can simply drag and drop the PDF into your map and then georeference the image if needed. And then lastly, you can now apply weather to global scenes. So this is really cool. You can add cloud coverage, rain, snow, or fog. So this is used to enhance your scenes and add additional realism. So this is a great complement to the flood simulator, which it's really cool.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to turn on the rain function for any Vancouver demo.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. How sad is that? But that sounds really, really cool. So that's amazing to know that it's being added into the latest release of Pro. So very excited. Just one more little thing for anyone who's looking to update. Is there anything that they should know about the software before they do?
Yeah, so this is a minor release that provides new functionality but no breaking change. So your ArcGIS Pro 3.x projects are compatible and your 3.x add-ins will work. So another thing to note is that your 3.x projects and add-ins are not backwards compatible with ArcGIS Pro 2.x versions. So that's something just to remind yourself. And then to ensure the latest security and performance improvements, ArcGIS Pro 3.3 moves to the Microsoft .NET 8 framework. So you'll need to install .NET 8 before installing ArcGIS Pro 3.3.
Boy, I better check to make sure I have that. So that is really good advice. And man, there's so many exciting things coming up with ArcGIS Pro. It just keeps getting better. So Allison, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes to give us the highlights of what's new in ArcGIS Pro, and can't wait to have you again on the podcast soon.
Thanks for having me.
That was Allison O'Brien. She is an ArcGIS support consultant with ArcGIS Support Services at Esri Canada. And as always, she is joining us from her home in Ottawa.
The thrill of my victory and the agony of Mark's defeat. Up next in M versus M.
Oh man, that music haunts me every month in my nightmares because that means only one thing. It's M versus M time.
I'm so glad to be back and asking the questions this week. As a reminder, the rules are pretty simple. I'm going to ask 5 questions, or at least up to 5. And if Mark gets 3 questions right, he wins. And if Mark gets 3 questions wrong, I win. So we'll see what happens first, and let's get right into our game this week.
All right, let's do this. I am pumped and I am ready to lose. Let's go.
Have a little faith, Mark. I think you're going to do pretty well at this.
Okay,
This
let's do
this
it.
week, it's all going to be about projections and projection information.
What?
I know it sounds scary, but I don't know that much about projections, so the questions aren't that hard. So I think you're going to be okay.
Great. All right, fire away. Map projections. All right, I got to get in the zone.
Get in the zone. Yeah. All right. So the first question, I think you have a good chance, but can you name what the 4 attributes the projections are trying to preserve when we're flattening our round Earth? I don't give you options. You just have to know them.
Oh, okay. Well, this is when my years of teaching experience come in because this was the one topic that just lost everybody. So I would always come up with the line, Projections make us sad.
They do.
They do. Shape, area, distance, direction, sadness.
Woo! You did it. I knew you'd have a good chance on that one. Good job, Mark. One
See?
right. You got a chance. You got a chance this
I
week.
got a chance. Thanks.
Okay, next question. So this one, UTM, or Universal Transverse Mercator Projection, is separated into 60 zones, which are each 6 degrees of longitude wide. So do you know in which zone you would find Yellowknife, Northwest Territories?
Oh my god.
Yep. If you need a hint, I can give you a hint. Canada spans between 7 and 22. So it's a number
Wow.
between 7 and 22. It's a pretty wide country. We've got a lot of UTM zones, but
That is a lot of UTM zones. Out of 60, we're like almost 20 of them. Wow. I am going to guess. So 7 to 20, it's going to be about midway. So 14.
oof, it's actually 11. Sorry, Mark. UTM zone 11 north. A little bit farther, a little bit closer to you. It's a little bit in the other direction.
Boo.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a trickier one, but I thought maybe, you never know. UTM's
Okay,
popular.
All right.
All right,
It is
1-1.
popular. 1-1.
Okay, next question. This one is more of a history question, I guess.
Mhm.
So popular, very popular, maybe not perfect projection Mercator, not Web Mercator, just Mercator,
Uh-huh.
was invented in which of these countries? Is
Oh,
it,
no.
I know, it's a good guess. It's going to be a guess. Is it A, the Netherlands, B, Belgium, C, France, or D, England?
Oh, boy. Okay. Mercator. What does that sound like? Does that sound Belgian?
I really don't know.
Does it sound French? You know what? The English claim everything. So I'm going to say England.
It's actually the Netherlands.
No!
I know, you should have guessed because why would I ever say the Netherlands? But yeah, it was created in 1569 in the Netherlands, and it was, of course, known for its use in sailing.
Is
Yeah.
it named after a person? It was like
Yes, it
Larry
was.
Mercator?
His first name is like Gerardus Mercator. Yeah.
Jimmy.
It seems like almost every projection is named after a person. So, yep,
Okay.
it was Mr. Mercator created that one. So, 2 for me, 1 for you, 1 more wrong, and you lose.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Next question is about a very popular projection, but not quite the same guy. So, one projection that's loved, I think is it Bone? Whatever.
Mhm.
It's shaped like a heart. You know,
Yes,
the
I
one.
remember that one. Yeah.
It's very cute, but it's not
It
the
is.
only projection shaped like a heart. There's another version of this one as well, and I'm going to give you 4 options and see if you know which one it is. And please forgive me if these are your last names because there are some weird ones out there. Okay, these are all real projections, and one of them is a heart shape as well. Okay,
Got it.
A is Werner. Okay, B is Berghaus. Okay,
Okay.
C is Dymaxion, and D is Waterman.
Wow. Okay, here we go. We're going to throw some darts in here.
Yeah.
I just like that last name. Diaxium?
Oh, man.
Diaxium?
No, unfortunately, it's Werner. That one I thought maybe you would know. It's that weird 20-sided isodehedron or whatever. You know, that weird paper one that's all flecked out.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Dymaxion. So, unfortunately,
Oh,
not
no.
correct. It was Werner that is heart-shaped, but the rest of them are cute too. We got the Berghaus is a star, and the Waterman is a butterfly. So,
A butterfly. Oh, that's
yeah. I don't think it's super popular, but it is pretty cute. So, sorry, Mark. Unfortunately, it's another loss for you.
cute. Another loss for me. Well, you know, Maggie, you're living in my head. This is tearing me apart. I'm emotionally scarred. I think I need to take a 2.5 week vacation to recover
All right.
from this.
Sounds good. I'll approve that time off for you, Mark.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. For old time's sake, let's read this one more time, shall we?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Spatial Report. Please check out our website at esri.ca/spatial report to learn more about the topics we covered today. We also post our videos of our interview segments on the Esri Canada YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly Getting Technical newsletter that highlights all the latest news in our technology. This podcast is brought to you by Esri Canada, a technology company that empowers people. Maggie, Vaughn, Werner, and organizations by the science of where. Maggie Sampson, bon voyage. We'll see you again in a few weeks.
Sounds good. See you soon, Mark.
Cool. Happy mapping, everybody.